And an alumni group at West Point is scrubbing a ceremony meant to recognize actor and veterans advocate Tom Hanks. The prestigious award is intended to highlight those who exemplify duty, honor, and country. In announcing the move, the group said the cancellation would allow the Academy to focus on preparing its cadets for the future. As the Washington Post reports, the email did not say whether Hanks' award has been revoked or if it will be presented in some other format. In 2020, Hanks participated in a campaign fundraiser with Joe Biden. Joe, what's going on here?
I was just going to ask Jonathan Lemire or Jeff Mason if they knew what was going on. I mean, here's a guy, of course, we could talk about Saving Private Ryan. We could talk about Band of Brothers. We could talk about the Pacific. We could talk about Greyhounds. We could talk about a man, a Hollywood star, one of the biggest Hollywood stars of our time, who has spent his most of his movie career, Jonathan, celebrating the heroism of those in uniform, those fighting for the United States of America and fighting for democracy. It certainly seems strange that this West Point group decided to take away this ceremony after putting it out there. What can you tell us?
Yeah, you'd be hard-pressed to find a Hollywood actor or a pop culture figure who's done more to celebrate what is good about the U.S. military in recent decades than Tom Hanks. And this appears to be, and I'll go to Jeff Mason. Jeff, it certainly appears to be another moment of, low-scale sort of retribution, or everything is politics now, where whether it's the president or the Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, or the like, who cannot handle any sort of opposition. If you supported the Democrats, if you supported Joe Biden, then you're out. You're deemed woke or weak or whatever justification you want to have. And it's simply, this is not, it just seems so remarkably petty.
And it trickles down to everything from, from major decisions to, more minor, if you want to call this a minor decision, Jonathan. I mean, the history that the president has shown over the last several months since coming into office of retribution, as you rightly say, includes denigrating people who he doesn't like because they didn't support him. I thought it was interesting yesterday at the U.S. Open that Bruce Springsteen was there. Springsteen, of course, was a big supporter of President Biden and President Obama, and President Trump has criticized him. He's criticized Hamilton when Hamilton pulled out of coming to the Kennedy Center and said he never really liked that musical. It's all in line with just that kind of an attitude towards people who don't support him.
Yeah. And speaking of the Open, President Donald Trump's visit to the U.S. Open in New York City caused significant delays and frustrations for attendees. Trump was met with a mix of boos and cheers as he entered Arthur Ashe Stadium yesterday, just as 15 minutes before the highly contested match between Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner. The final in the men's singles. This was his first time attending the U.S. Open since 2015. The stadium was only 10% full at the time of Trump's arrival. I had friends in this crowd, and I was getting a lot of video coming in. Everyone looked miserable. Many spectators faced hours-long delays to clear security because of long lines. Officials delayed the match by a half hour to give fans more time to get their seats, but quite frankly, a lot of people missed the first set, or many of the first games. President Trump, before he watched yesterday's match at the U.S. Open, the United States Tennis Association asked broadcasters not to air any, quote, disruptions or reactions in response to the president's attendance in any capacity. While critics said the move amounted to censorship, others pointed to a routine policy where broadcasters are asked to avoid showing interruptions, like people running onto the field. I think they were trying to avoid the boos. I've never heard of that happening before. Maybe I'm wrong. I've never heard of that happening.
Well, I don't know. Let's talk to somebody much wiser than us, David Ignatius. We can ask him if he's ever heard of it before. You know, it's interesting, David. As I was sitting there, I was watching the crowds outside, and of course, everybody's, not happy about that at all. At the same time, I'm sure the U.S. Tennis Association of the U.S. Open would be glad any time to have a president of the United States at their event. So I will say the U.S. Open, what Mika and I saw, was run remarkably well, throughout the entire time there. Just extraordinary how they moved people in and out. But I was sitting there watching the crowds outside, understanding how angry they were. At the same time, you sit there going, well, if you get a present to an event, that's not a bad thing. So I'm just wondering exactly how you do that.
So, Joe, the same problem arises when the president wants to go to the Super Bowl. Any of these huge events, the security required is enormous. No way around that. And so it does impose delays on people. The idea that the president can go to one of these public venues wanting to be seen, but somehow the reaction to his being there will be suppressed. So you don't know whether people are cheering or booing. That's not on. If you want to go and impose the delays on people, you're going to have to let the public see how people are reacting to you. Interesting to see Steve Witkoff is ambassador to everywhere, sitting next to him at the U.S. Open. But if the president wants to go watch a little tennis as opposed to golf as a tennis player, I'm all for it.
Mm-hmm. And Mika, David's right that certainly any time any president of any party goes to an event like this, there's going to be major security issues. There are going to be delays. They even push back the start of the match. But in an effort to suppress the reaction, we live in an age of cell phones. We live in an age of social media. And very quickly, these clips went viral. Yes, there was a few cheers mixed in, but it was largely boos. I'm sure some of it frustration because of the long lines outside, and also because simply, this event is being held in New York City. We know President Trump not particularly popular in his former hometown.
All right, the Washington Post, David Ignatius, thank you very much. His latest piece is available to read online right now.